Today we're going to be looking at the foreign exchange market. So these questions are going to be about currency, and in them you're going to have to solve questions basically about two different economies. So anytime you're asked to set up foreign exchange, you probably just need to draw one graph to get it right, but I always like to draw two because it helps solve the entire kind of question or problem. So whenever you're going to set up foreign exchange, let's say we have two countries. We have the dollar and you have the euro. Okay, it's like this C with two lines through it. Okay, you don't have to memorize all these different currency symbols, but you know, as long as you have something that looks close or what they want in the question, you'll be good. All right, so anytime we have our market, we're going to have our graph. And once again, it's a supply and demand graph just with different labels. So if this is the United States and this is the euro, and the euro would be, you know, countries obviously in the European Union. So it's going to be supply and demand with labels. So let's draw these out. We've got supply, we've got demand. Now, the easiest way to remember is whatever symbol or market that you're looking at, that is the denominator for everything. That means the dollar is going to go underneath everything. So this is going to be the supply of the dollar, the demand of the dollar. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so my marker's a little fat, so that's still the dollar. Okay, and it's going to be the quantity of the dollar, and then it's going to be the dollar underneath the euro, or the euro divided by the dollar. Okay. Now, where these two cross, the supply of the dollar and the demand of the dollar, is where we're going to get our exchange rate, and that's what that E stands for. So now set up the euro in the same way. So it's going to be a supply of the euro, demand of the euro, quantity of the euro, dollar divided by the euro, and that's going to give us our exchange rate. And of course, equilibrium is going to have a quantity that is supplied or demanded at those equilibriums. So this is just for setting up. There's going to be a couple videos after this where it shows me shifting supply and demand of both of these. Now, there's an acronym, of course, that goes with this. These are going to be our shifters. So our shifters are going to be what moves these supply and demand lines or graphs. So the first one is going to be, starts with a T, and it's taste. So that's like taste and preference. So if I want an item and I need it from another country, I'm going to need their money. Okay, so taste, preference, basically if you want something from Mexico, you're going to need pesos. If you want something from Europe, you're going to need euros. So anytime that happens, if I have a taste or a preference that's an increase, I'm going to need that other currency. And when I need this currency, I have to exchange mine. So I'll go through the rest of these and then we'll do one of the shifts as an example. Okay, so a few years ago, me and my students came up with TRIPS because it's foreign exchange. You're going to another country. So the R of TRIPS is the real interest rate. So remember, that's R equals I minus pi. So the real interest rate in foreign exchange means that people are going to seek higher income out of bank accounts or mutual funds or bonds or whatever pays them interest. So if in Europe they have high interest rates, I'm going to want euros so I can put my money into their banks. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I can't put dollars into a European bank. I mean, I know you can in reality, but in this scenario, don't think of it like that. So if Europe has higher interest rates, I'm going to put my dollars back in the supply, then I'm going to demand euros. Okay? So that's the the R of TRIPS. So next one is going to be income. So when it comes to, let's draw that like that. So it ends up being TRIPS. Okay. So income. What that means is, let's say in America, we're doing well, and Europe's in a recession. So if we're doing well, it means we have income, or our income increases, or GDP goes up, so national income increases. Remember RIP and SIGAX, all that. So RIP is the income. So if something about our income is going up in a global economy, we will automatically be the buyers from these other markets. So if our income goes up, we would need to exchange some of our dollars to get some euros and buy some of their products. Okay? The next one is price level. And price level, and you guess it, is also inflation. So if there is an inflation in the United States compared to Europe, Europeans are not going to want to shop American goods. Okay, they're going to want to buy where it's cheaper. We are like that by nature. We buy where it's cheaper. So if they have inflation in Europe, where even Europeans would put their dollars back in the supply and they demand US dollars. Sorry, they put their euros away and they demand dollars. People will shop where there's less inflation. Okay. Next one is speculation. So, people play markets, they speculate. Remember, speculate is to put money in hopes of gaining some money somewhere else. So when you speculate, let's say some country's in a recession, like Greece or Japan when they had a tsunami or whatever. If their currency is down in value and you think they're going to recover, you could buy that currency. Say you were going on some trip this summer to Europe and their currency's down right now. Buy it now, and when you get there in the summer, you'd have more money. It would go up in value. So you can speculate, and whenever it's time to speculate, people will demand the other currency. That means they got to put theirs back in the supply. So let's say the interest rates are higher in Europe. Okay, so their real interest rate is higher. We have a taste for European goods and services. The U.S. income goes up, or say there's inflation in the U.S. U.S. has inflation, or let's say the euro is down and we want to buy it. So think of it like this. You go to the bank with your US dollars and you need euros for any of these reasons. I'm going to put my dollars back into the supply, and I'm going to demand euros. So supply goes up of this one, demand goes up of this one. In foreign exchange, there's always supply of one, demand of the other, and they will move in the same direction, no matter which way I do this. So I could say the demand is increasing, then that way if I want these, I have to put mine in the supply. So when I hand my dollars to the bank teller, they put them in a stack or the supply. And then I tell them I want euros for those dollars that I just put back in my supply. And they'll go, okay, then they do the exchange. And that's where we get our exchange rates from. So when this happens, we can see that there are some changes in the graphs. So the quantity supplied goes up, and we have the same amount of demand for dollars. So what happens when you have more supply than there is demand? Well, the price goes down. There's more of it, and the same people want it, so the price goes down. And we'll get to that price here in just a second. So now the demand for euros is going up. That means people want them, but there's only a certain amount of supply out there. So what does that do? It's going to drive the price up, or the exchange rate. So this, the quantity demanded with a certain amount of supply. So now I can look at these. This one appreciated versus the dollar. This one depreciated. So when they appreciate, they go up in value. They depreciate, they go down in value. When that happens, we're going to have two new characters come out in the story. Their names are Sid and Wes. So Sid and Wes means appreciate and depreciate. So if it's Sid, it gets stronger. And which one got stronger? The euro. So the euro got stronger. That is a terrible euro. The euro got stronger. The dollar got weaker. Now when that happens, we're going to have a change in our exports. So what I mean by that is, so if you're west, all of a sudden you're going to have cheap exports. Okay, that's going to put you in a trade, surplus. Okay, so think about west, weak, exports, surplus. I'm just crossing those out because that's what they stand for. So if the euro gets stronger, imports, deficit. So here's why. Now all of a sudden the euro is stronger. When someone takes their euro and they exchange it for dollars, guess what? They get more dollars. Okay, so now all of a sudden the United States exports will get cheaper, and that will put them into a trade surplus because these goods and services are now going to leave as exports. In Europe, they're going to come in as imports. So this is how we globally balance with a flexible exchange rate all the time, is with imports and exports. And on the next couple videos, I'll go over these things some more. Then we'll have some practice FRQs and multiple choice.